Good day, everyone. Welcome to another political talk of Newsaluchi Media, a political channel that discusses, analyzes, and diagnoses politics. So we know that the ATM and the uMkhoto Party have came together to form an alliance, and this was very interesting. Just listening to this deal to say that no party will be closed down because of another party. So both of these political parties will coexist. I love what News 24 has said. Update: no party will swallow the other. ATM and NKP enter pact work together. And you know, when I saw this article, or I saw this agreement, this deal, it came to myself to say that, but this is a great deal to make. And I just felt as if it was going to be good if the EFF took the same approach. But we know what was the dilemma there. There was this notion that was spread abroad to say that no, Jacob Zuma wants to close down EFF and swallow it under the MK Party. So we'll be discussing that today, to say that maybe to expose who really wanted to close down the EFF. Was it Jacob Zuma or someone else? Stick around. As you stick around, we'll be unpacking all of these and maybe going even deeper to explore more, to say that what really happened for that deal, for it to fail. Let's jump to the letter that the MKP did give. Statement on the meeting of uMkhoto and the African Transformation Movement. The leadership of uMkhoto Party, led by President Jacob Zuma, African Transformation Movement, led by spiritual head Professor Caesar Nongunga, held a bilateral meeting in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal on Wednesday, 5th March 2025. The meeting discussed two organizations' shared values, principles, and objectives. The MK Party and the ATM principally agreed that the struggle for total emancipation of the colonized and the oppressed people of South Africa is incomplete and needs a unified response and common action. The MK Party and the ATM unanimously agreed to work together on all political, community, and parliamentary programs and activities. The meeting mandated the Secretary General of both organizations to convene a smaller three-side bilateral engagement, which will work on the modalities of working together in all upcoming by-elections towards the 2026 local government elections, as well as the 2029 general election. The modalities of the MK Party and the ATM working together will be presented to the leadership and membership of both organizations within the spirit of building unity amongst all the progressive forces in South Africa. We jointly call on all progressive political formations and individuals in South Africa to support and associate with the revolutionary and long overdue efforts to unify all the progressive forces. Unity is the most important weapon in the war against colonialism and for the total emancipation and freedom of our people, issued by uMkhoto in the African Transformation Movement. So the MK Party President Jacob Zuma met with the ATM spiritual head and Vuyo Zungula, who is the president of the ATM. So Professor Caesar Nongunga, in a meeting held in Durban, that is KwaZulu-Natal, on Wednesday, 5th March 2025. The meeting was about these two organizations working together because of shared values, principles, and objectives. They both agree that the struggle for the emancipation of the colonized and the oppressed people is incomplete and needs action. So I know that some of us we didn't know very much about Professor Caesar Nongunga, but the question is, who is he? So a long-time friend of former President Jacob Zuma, the chief apostle of the 12th Apostle Church, Caesar Nongunga, have made things official by entering into a political pact. So one thing that we know about him is that he's one of the founders of the ATM and a spiritual leader of that political party. So we know that he's been friends with Jacob Zuma for a longest of time now, right? So there are a few things that they've discussed, that they came to agree upon. Like number one, they will work together in parliament programs and activities. Number 2, they will work together in all upcoming elections toward the 2026 local government elections as well as the 2029 general elections. Number 3, the modalities of both parties will be presented to leadership and membership of both organizations, right? So this means that they will inform their members, they will inform their partners that these two organizations are now working together, building unity among all progressive forces in South Africa. Number 5, will jointly call on all progressive political formations and individuals in South Africa to support and associate with the revolution and unity of all the progressive forces, right? So this was very interesting. I think this notion of having these small political parties being funded by the family of the Oppenheimers will just bring a change, because if now we are an alliance, it means you can't be controlled somewhere where we don't know, by some forces that we don't know, because we'll have to agree, both of us, unless both of us were funded by the same fund.
But of course, we're not blinded to the possibility that there might not be an outright winner of elections. And what happens after that will be decided depending on the dynamics. But what we've been aware of, by the way, is that the Oppenheimers have funded the DA, Freedom Front, Action SA, Rise Mzansi, and all of those, and gave them a clear mandate that they must isolate and insult the EFF every day.
But if now this stance will be anti-Stellenbosch, anti-Rupert, anti-Oppenheimer, will just stand solemnly alone and say that this is a progressive for black people, it will be a good approach. The reason why I say that is because it will not make another one to be a sellout while hoping to work with the other one. So they will have to work in unity for them to achieve one purposeful goal. So now this will just do away with these funders that have some interior motives that are not to help black people in particular. So that's why I said this was a great partnership. It was a great alliance to be formed. But now I wanted us to look at something on, now the EFF is left outside because it is said that this is a progressive alliance, right? So but the EFF now is not forming part of it because of the CIC was very angry, because after they had many meetings they never come to agreement, because the CIC wanted the MK Party, Jacob Zuma, to endorse him, and Jacob Zuma wanted the CIC to endorse the MK Party. So the contradiction just went there. But now we find out the CIC came in strong and said that MK Party is enemy number one. Jacob Zuma wanted to destroy the EFF, right? So
you know what I like about Dali is that there was a meeting of the opposition parties which was called by Zuma, and I said I'm not going. So I asked Floyd and Marshall to attend the SG. They went and Dali was there. Dali went to make a presentation of a paper in that first meeting where he said the EFF must close down with the other parties and then form something under Zuma's leadership. I mean, things happen the way they happen. I mean, Floyd and Marshall, you know him, he's just there and he speaks when it is necessary. But Floyd is the one who was leading the discussion. Who said, no ways, it's not going to happen, and all of that. And then he comes back extremely shocked that Dali is not only proposing it, he has written it down. He has had time to think about it and wrote it down. So I said, no. So then we agreed that we must meet, all parties must go consult their leadership, blah, blah. What is our position? I said, but that's madness. We can't do that. We closed the EFF to Zuma. Not 1 year. It was not even formed at that time. To what? Like, to do what? I don't understand that. Then perhaps Dali realizes they are not doing a good job. He comes himself to me when they were all there as the officials in the 5th floor. He says, no, he wants to see me. I said, no, sharp, come. But I knew what he was going to tell me. So I brought Floyd and I brought Marshall into the meeting. And then he said that. He says, so I told him, no, it's not going to happen. I don't agree with that. And there's no EFF that is going to close shop.
A few minutes later.
So people say, why would Malema declare MK as an enemy? Anyone who wants to kill the EFF is an enemy. I don't care whether you are black or white. As long as you are tended to kill the EFF, you are the enemy. They say, oh, Malema says we must support Chidima, but we must not support Zuma. Chidima never wanted to kill EFF. Zuma wants to kill the EFF. That's why we must not support him.
I believe now it's clear that you have heard it yourself, that who came with the motion of saying we want to close down what? The EFF, right? So let's check this out. So who wanted to close the EFF is the big question that we need now to solve now. Was it Jacob Zuma or someone else? Julius Malema now contradicts himself, because remember he was saying that Jacob Zuma is working to shut down the EFF, right? So now we find Dalimpofu's name now being involved in the entire saga. Listen to this. Dalimpofu went to do a presentation, which was the meeting between the MKP and the EFF delegates, right? So he says that Dalimpofu went to do a presentation of a paper with the MK Party. So he had a paper when he said that the EFF must close down and other parties form something under Zuma's leadership. Marshall was there, and you know him. He's quiet, and Floyd was there leading the discussion, as they were the delegate who said no ways, it is not going to happen. And all of that, as he came back, right, Floyd Chivambo interjected and said, no, that one will never happen. So as they came back, Floyd was shocked that Dali is not only proposing it, he has written it down and wrote it down, and he has time to think about it, and he wrote it down. So when they went back to report to the EFF headquarters, Julius Malema said that this is madness. We closed the EFF to Zuma for what? That was before the formation of the MK Party, right? So they were still having these ghost meetings between these two political parties. Then Dali called Julius Malema to meet with him and Floyd and Marshall Dlamini and told them what will happen, that he is planning this idea to close down the EFF so that they join it under uMkhoto Wesizwe. That is where now things turned sour and they went downwards. Now the fight and the hate and all now the division started there. That is why when now they speak about progressive forces, now the EFF is no longer part of the equation, according to them. That is why their deal went wrong. Seems like all of them, they had interior motives. Dalimpofu's motive was for the EFF to shut down under the MKP, right? Julius Malema's motive was for Jacob Zuma to endorse him, right? Jacob Zuma's motive was for Julius Malema to endorse him. So there was a conflict of interest. But then when we end this video, the pack that the ATM made and the pack that the MKP made, it is a good pack to say that the ATM is still alive, well, kicking, still in parliament, still having their bank account, still having their organization intact. Everything is still there. We are just working together. We vote together, we're working together, but no one will be shut down. This was the best deal even the EFF was supposed to get. Not this selfish interest, conspiring, backstabbing agenda that they've done, right? So they just showed this unity among their leadership. So that is what we have for today. Please don't forget, you can subscribe to this channel, you can leave your comment on the section below, and you can press the super thanks button. Until we meet on the next video, and I'm out.